Today, I want to invite you on a journey beyond the familiar, beyond the known self, beyond those thoughts that keep looping in your mind, those negative thoughts that keep pulling you back into the same emotional states, the same habits, the same life. You see, every thought you think is creating a chemical reaction in your brain. And every time you think that same negative thought, you're firing and wiring the same circuits, producing the same chemicals and feeling the same emotions over and over again. But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the creator of your reality. When we understand that we can observe those thoughts without becoming them, we step into the seat of power. The moment you become conscious of those unconscious patterns, you begin to rewire your brain, to prune away the old and signal new genes in new ways. Today, I'll show you not just how to fight negative thoughts, but how to rise above them, to become greater than them, to step into the unknown and to create a new destiny.
You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. This is a fundamental truth that most people forget as they go through their day, caught in the web of their inner narrative. The mind produces thousands of thoughts every single day, most of which are unconscious, repetitive, and rooted in the past. Many of these thoughts are negative because they are programmed from past experiences, emotional traumas, and habitual patterns. When you identify with every thought that arises, you unconsciously become a victim of your mind. You react emotionally, and your body responds chemically to those negative thoughts, reinforcing the same feelings of fear, doubt, anxiety, or unworthiness. This creates a loop, a cycle where your thoughts create emotions, and those emotions fuel the same thoughts, keeping you stuck in a predictable pattern. But there is a deeper part of you, the one that can notice these thoughts, the one that can watch them without reacting. That part of you is pure awareness, consciousness itself, the observer behind the scenes. The moment you realize that you are the observer, everything begins to change. You start to recognize that you are not those thoughts racing through your mind. You are the awareness that witnesses them come and go. It's like watching clouds drift across the sky or leaves floating down a river. Thoughts are not facts. They are not who you are. They are simply neural impulses, patterns of energy and information firing in your brain, shaped by your memories and beliefs. When you observe your thoughts without judgment, without attachment, you create space between you and your mental chatter. In that space, you find freedom. You gain the power to choose which thoughts to energize and which to let pass by. You begin to reclaim your personal energy that was previously drained by unconsciously engaging with every negative narrative. This practice of observation is not about suppressing thoughts or forcing them away. It's about allowing them to surface while remaining anchored in awareness, knowing they have no power over you unless you believe in them. As you strengthen this skill of witnessing, you rewire your brain to stop reacting automatically. Over time, you become less identified with the mind and more connected to the present moment, where real change begins. You step into the role of creator instead of being controlled by unconscious programming.
Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. This is not just a motivational phrase, it is a scientific truth deeply rooted in how the brain and body work together. Every time you focus on something, whether it is a thought, an emotion, or an external experience, you are directing your personal energy toward it. Your brain is constantly mapping your focus through neural activity. And wherever you repeatedly place your attention, your brain starts to physically rewire itself to reflect that focus. If you're constantly thinking about problems, fears, or doubts, you are wiring your brain to become more efficient at processing those same negative patterns. Your energy begins to flow toward what you fear, and you start to feel more anxiety, more frustration, and more stress because your attention is locked in a survival-based state of mind. You're giving away your energy to those limiting thoughts and emotions. However, the same principle can be used to empower you. The moment you choose to shift your attention away from what you don't want and toward what you do want, you begin to redirect your energy into a new reality. When you focus on gratitude, possibility, love, or abundance, your brain begins to fire in new sequences, and you start to feel elevated emotions that uplift your entire body. The heart begins to beat in rhythm with those elevated states, and the body begins to relax and heal. Attention is the currency of transformation. Every time you become aware of where your focus is, you are given a choice. You can either keep feeding the same old problems or shift your attention towards solutions, visions, and elevated emotional states. Most people spend their entire day unconsciously placing their attention on their environment, reacting to circumstances, people, and external conditions. They scatter their energy into multiple directions, leaving themselves drained and disconnected from their personal power. But when you consciously direct your attention inward, toward your thoughts, feelings, and intentions, you start to reclaim your energy. You become less reactive to the outside world and more in tune with your inner world, where true change happens. Your brain begins to form new neural connections that match your desired future, and your energy flows toward creating that reality. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to live in a state of focused awareness, where energy moves where you intentionally direct it.
Breaking the habit of being your old self is the foundation of personal transformation. Most people live their entire lives repeating the same thoughts, making the same choices, and feeling the same emotions every single day. Their personality, which is made up of how they think, act, and feel, becomes hardwired by familiar patterns and experiences. When you think the same thoughts, you make the same choices. And when you make the same choices, you create the same behaviors. These behaviors lead to the same experiences, which then produce the same emotions. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. The body becomes so conditioned to the mind that it begins to memorize emotions like stress, anger, guilt, and unworthiness, even without a specific reason in the present moment. You wake up in the morning, and before you even get out of bed, your mind is already thinking about your problems, predicting the same routine and recalling the same past events. In this state, your future becomes nothing more than a projection of your past. To change your life, you must break this cycle by becoming conscious of these unconscious patterns. The first step is awareness. You must catch yourself thinking in the same old way and making the same old choices. This is the moment you separate yourself from the program. The challenge is that the body often resists change. It has become addicted to familiar emotions and predictable outcomes. The moment you try to step into the unknown, your body pulls you back into the old familiar self through thoughts like doubt, fear, or unworthiness. This is where the true work begins. You must become greater than your environment, greater than your body, and greater than time. It requires a willingness to sit with discomfort and to not automatically react. When you make different choices in the face of familiar emotions, you begin to signal new genes in your brain and body. You start to fire new neural pathways that lead to new perceptions and new possibilities. Each time you override the old emotional triggers and choose a new response, you are breaking the habit of your old self and creating a new version of you. This is how transformation begins, not through external change, but by shifting your internal state and conditioning your body and mind to a new future.
Elevating your emotional state is one of the most powerful ways to rewire your brain and transform your life. Most people live in emotional states that are tied to stress, fear, frustration, anger, or sadness. These emotions are deeply connected to survival,
And when you are constantly living in survival mode, your brain stays locked into old patterns of thinking. Your body becomes addicted to these states because it has memorized them over years of repetition. In these low-frequency emotions, your body is out of balance, your heart beats irregularly, your immune system weakens, and your brain becomes incoherent. You are not in a state where change or healing can happen. To break free from this cycle, you must intentionally create elevated emotional states such as gratitude, love, joy, inspiration, and compassion. These emotions are not linked to the past or the predictable future. They are signals of the present moment and of possibility. When you feel gratitude, your heart begins to beat in a harmonious rhythm, sending signals to your brain that everything is in balance. Your brain waves begin to shift, and your body moves from survival to creation. In this state, you begin to rewire your brain because elevated emotions open the door to new possibilities. The body starts to produce chemicals that promote healing, growth, and renewal. Your heart and brain come into coherence, which creates a flow of energy throughout your entire being. When you practice holding these elevated emotional states, even for a few minutes each day, you begin to train your body to feel differently. You move from being a victim of your emotions to the creator of your emotional state. This is how you shift from old patterns and create space for new experiences to enter your life. Your brain no longer operates based on the familiar past, but begins to map out a new future. Every time you intentionally generate an elevated emotion, you are telling your body and mind that the future you desire is already happening now. This is not about pretending or forcing positivity, but about embodying the emotional state of your desired future before it even arrives. In doing so, you condition your body to align with new experiences and outcomes. This practice of sustaining elevated emotions becomes a powerful tool for rewiring the brain and transforming your reality from the inside out.
Creating a clear intention and combining it with an elevated emotion is the formula for manifesting change and designing a new future. Intention is the mental picture, the thought, the clear vision of what you want to create in your life. It is specific, detailed, and focused. It is not vague or general. It is precise and exact. When you set a clear intention, your brain begins to map out the pathway to that reality. You activate specific neural circuits that align with the outcome you desire. The brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined when you focus with enough clarity and repetition. However, thought alone is not enough to create change. Thought is the electrical charge in the quantum field, but emotion is the magnetic charge that draws experiences back to you. This is why elevated emotions are necessary. They provide the energy to drive the intention into reality. Emotions such as gratitude, love, joy, freedom, and empowerment are the fuels that amplify your vision and signal your body to experience it as if it has already happened. When you combine the clear picture of your desired outcome with the strong, elevated emotion of already having it, you begin to biologically and chemically condition your body to that new future. Your body, which has been conditioned to the familiar past, now starts to shift toward the unknown future. This process is not about simply wishing or hoping. It is about embodying the state of your desired reality every day. It is about feeling the gratitude for your healing before it happens, feeling the freedom of success before it arrives, feeling the love of a relationship before it appears. In doing this, you align both your conscious mind and your subconscious body with the same intention. The brain begins to fire new patterns, and the heart starts to generate a magnetic field that can influence your external environment.
When your intention and emotion are aligned, you begin to attract opportunities, experiences, and people that match your new state of being. Your inner world starts to reflect outwardly in your external world. The more you practice this process, the more natural it becomes to live as though your desired future is already here. This is how you shift from waiting for life to change to actively creating it through the power of intention and emotion working together.